Hello and welcome to Unique Coding Heroes. So today we are going to discuss some very important core Java concepts, which are like based on real-time interview questions, and those are mostly asked interview questions in real-time scenario. Let's get started. So the topic which we are going to discuss: what is interface, why inheritance is used, like is it mandatory for an interface to implement other interfaces, or diamond problems, or Java 8 interfaces. Then we will proceed to check, like, can we create a class to implement old interface. And then we have a like kind of like code in like inheritance, which we are going to discuss. So let's move on. Yeah. So, what is interface? So, basically, interface is a way to achieve abstraction and define the behavior that the class should exhibit without specifying the implementation details. So, when we say, like, the interface, basically it's the main use, it's to achieve the abstraction and behavior of a class should executes without specifying the implementation details. So if you see here, we have defined public interface, my interface, and there is a void method in there. And yeah, and then there is a int method too in the p pass string as a parameter. So in an interface, methods are abstract by default, meaning they don't have any any don't have any like they don't have any signature in there. So they only declare the method signature, including the return type, method name, and parameter. So here you can see there's no like kind of like so like so as we move on, let's discuss multiple inheritance. So, as we are aware that Java supports multiple inheritance, which means a class can implement multiple interfaces. And due to all this benefit, Java inheritance is used to for the inheritance purpose. So, Uh, let's discuss diamond problem. So, what is diamond problem basically? So, in a simple language, diamond problem is a condition that occur due to multiple inheritance in a programming like C++. Like what happened? We have a child A, which the child B and C inherit from from parent A, and again B and C produces a child D. So in this scenario, class B and C inherit from class A, and class D inherits from both B and C. So this creates a diamond-shaped inheritance hierarchy. This is called diamond problem. Moving on to our next question, which is like, is it mandatory for an interface to implement other class interfaces? So basically, we no need to, it's not mandatory to interface to implement other interfaces. So it can extend as well. Okay, so suppose we have five classes. Java interface can extend the other interface to inherit the method signature, but it is not required to do so if an interface have five interfaces. Let's call them B, C, D, E, F, and you have follow the option to interface. A extends those interface using extend keywords. For example, you can see the public interface A extends B, C, D, E, F, and then there's a method signature. So like this, it can happen. So Java 8 having like new methods like default method, static method, method reference. So let's discuss those one by one. New Java 8 functionalities, default method. So basically, default method allows interface to provide method implementation. Like this feature enables adding new methods to existing interface without breaking the compatibility. with the classes that implement those interfaces. So default methods are declared using default keyword and can be overridden by implementing classes if needed. So you can see public interface, my interface, then we have a void method, then void method 1, then again we are calling method 2. So you can see the void 1 method is like, it's empty, whereas default void method 2, it's having like kind of like default implementation. So void means default, means like we're using default implementation here. And static methods basically was introduced to like ability to define the static method within the within the interface. A static method provides us utility method that can be used without creating an instance of this. They are defined using a static keyword and can be called using interface name like public interface, my interface. Then a static, you can see static void static method. So basically, static methods within, its ability to define a static method within the interfaces. So static method is in interface provides utility method that can be used without creating an instance of interface. So you mean like if we mention any method like static, so we don't need to create instance of that. We can directly use that. So that is the benefit of this static kind of static method. And very important feature of Java 8 is functional interfaces. So Java introduced the functional interface concept, which are interfaces that contains only one abstract method. And functional interfaces are a key component of the new Lambda expression and the Stream API in introduced in Java 8, and they can be annotated with the at the rate functional interface annotation to ensure that they are intended for functional programming. So there is a at the rate functional interface in there, so which define like method, so which will tell we are going to use a functional interface to increase the single abstract method. So Java 8 introduced the concept of functional interface, which are the interface that contains only a single abstract method. Whereas the method references allow you to refer method by their names instead of invoking them directly. So they provide a shorthand syntax for lambdas, which when the expression simply calls existing method. So basically, you can see like there, I have created a list of array in there, list as string names, array as list. Then we have a three people. Then names dot for each system dot print. So here, when we are telling array names dot for each system dot print, it's pointing to each element. So all the names. So that is the method references. Uh, So the enhancement to the interface in Java 8 provide more flexibility, expressiveness, allowing interface to have method implementation. Static methods suppose functional programming. These features improve the code reusability, promote the code reuse, and enables the use of functional techniques in Java. So let's understand how we can create a new class to implement the old interfaces. This is mostly asked question. Like you have an existing interface, you have to extend and you have to create a new class of that. So what you have to do, suppose we have a my interface class name in one new interface, and there is a two method, void method one, method two, and what you have to do, you have to create a new class using implementing the old interface and then override the methods using public void method. You can see I have used public void method one, and then same like public void method two, and then we have a method declaration. So suppose you have an additional extra method to my class, then you can define public void additional method, and then you can define the implementation. So like this, you can define create a new class with the old interface. Moving on, what we did, we created a new my interface. Then there was a method one, method two. We create a new sub. We create a new class called my class. Then we implement the interface using the implement keyword, And then in the my class implementation, we provide the necessary method one, method two according to the contract defined in the my interface. Additionally, my class has its own method as an additional method. So we have to we are not a part of interface. So by implementing inheritance, my interface, we inherit interface. The my class instead that provide the implementation of all the method declared in the interface. So this allow instance of my class to be treated instead of my interface. So yeah, so like this, if you use, then you can you whatever class you're extending, you can use that class same instance of my interface. And whenever the interface is type expected, and whenever the interface type is accepted, so like override annotation is used to integrate that method in my class. Okay, so like that you can use. So like Java interface can have a default method. So default method basically provide a way to introduce new method to existing method without breaking the compatibility of implementation class, and it allows backward compatibility as well. So here you can see we have a my interface kind of like a method. Then we have a void method, abstract method. Then we have a default method, default void 2. And then we have a, so here what we have did, we have a main interface, my interface. Then we have a void when we have taken a void as abstract interface. So you can see abstract interface is like a it's like kind of like uh, it's like a existing interface without breaking the compatibility of the implementation class. Then we have default void method too, where basically we have a default method. And then inside there we have a kind of like a class defined in there. We have a my interface has two method one, method two. And in the abstract method without an implementation, while so abstract method without an implementation, the abstract method which you've seen, that was without implementation. So method two was default method we have given there, which provide a default implementation. So implementation class can choose whether not to override the default method. Okay, so an implementation class doesn't provide its own implementation, so of method 2, so it will automatically inherit the default implementation with the interface. So here is an example of a class implementing without my interface and exist and overriding the method 1. So in this example what we see that the class implementing my interface and overriding the method 1. So we override the method 1, okay, using the default method. So inheritance is an object-oriented programming that allow a class to inherit property behaves to another class, also superclass our parent class. So from using inheritance, we can allow class to inherit properties behavior from another class. Okay. So yeah, this example you can see that my class implement my interface, then we override public method one, then implementation of this method. So this is like a, method where basically so we are like we are increasing the code inheritance in the sense we are like to inherit the property of behavior from another class. So like while reading or something, you take a break. So this is the better suggestion from my side. So always take a break for some time. Don't sit continuously. It can affect your body and mind as well. So better you can have a kind of like rest and continue like the way it should be. It should not affect your body and eyes, and it will be helpful for you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. Please don't miss to subscribe and like. Also press the bell icon to get the more updated videos like this. Thank you. Thank you very much.